This is the biggest company to ever go public. It builds rockets. It's landing them on drone ships, putting 10 million people online from space. And its founder wants to die on Mars. There's just one problem. According to its own filing with the US government, it isn't a space company at all. The address says One Rocket Road. The classification says data processing, the same category as a software company. And when SpaceX finally sold shares to the public, the stock did this. The largest IPO in history, cut roughly in half in 6 weeks. This is the story of how the most exciting company on Earth quietly became something else. And almost nobody reading the headlines noticed. To see the crack, you have to start with what's real, and what's real is genuinely incredible. Starlink. Nearly 10,000 satellites in low orbit, beaming internet to 10.3 million subscribers across 164 countries. A year ago, it had 5 million. By next year, it doubled. And it makes money. $11.4 billion in revenue last year to be exact, and $4.4 billion in operating profit, a 39% margin. That is one of the best businesses in technology, full stop. If SpaceX were only Starlink and rockets, this would be a very different video. A victory lap. But it isn't only Starlink and rockets. In February 2026, Elon Musk did something unusual. He took his AI company, xAI, the one that makes Grok, and merged it into SpaceX. On paper, it sounded visionary. Rockets, satellites, and artificial intelligence under one roof. Starlink beams the data, xAI crunches it, and one day the AI even runs in orbit. A single machine spanning the sky. And here's the thing about every decision in this story. On its own, it sounds reasonable. Until you look at what xAI actually brought with it. In 2025, xAI made $3.2 billion in revenue, and it lost $6.4 billion, lost roughly $2 for everyone it earned. Now put that next to Starlink. Starlink earned $4.4 billion in profit. xAI lost $6.4. Do the math, and the most valuable rocket company in history, as a whole, lost money. $2.6 billion at the operating line in a single year. And it gets sharper. The launch business, the rockets, the part everyone came for, lost money too. $657 million. The only thing at this company that turns a profit is Starlink. Your internet bill. It is now quietly funding the rockets and the AI. Which brings us back to that filing. When SpaceX asked the public to buy in, it had to state, legally, how big its opportunity was. $28.5 trillion. What it calls the largest market in human history. So how much of that is space? 1.3%. $370 billion in space. 1.6 trillion in Starlink. And 26.5 trillion, 93% in AI. The single biggest line isn't rockets or satellites or even Mars. It's 22.7 trillion of enterprise software. The company whose mission statement says, and I'm quoting the filing, to extend the light of consciousness to the stars, is classified by the US government as computer programming and data processing. And when it told investors where the money would come from, it agreed. They came for the rockets. They were sold the data center. None of this was a secret. It was all right there in the prospectus. And people bought anyway. The IPO priced at $135. It opened at $150, peaked at $225 within days. The largest listing ever. Then reality read the same filing everyone else skipped. Weeks later, the stock was below its IPO price. Everyone who bought, underwater. Then, 2 weeks after going public, SpaceX borrowed $25 billion in bonds. The rating agencies stamped them investment grade. But the bond market didn't buy it. The bonds started trading like junk, almost immediately. When the people who lend money for a living are nervous, that's a signal worth watching. And here's the part that touches you, even if you've never bought a single share. On July 7th, SpaceX was added to the Nasdaq 100. The moment that happens, every index fund tracking it is forced to buy, automatically. Up to $43 billion of other people's money, bought regardless of what anyone thought of the price. So if you own an index fund, a pension, a retirement account you never think about, there's a good chance you now own a piece of a company that loses money, built around an AI nobody voted for. And you were never asked. Last time, we looked at Sony, where you buy something and never really own it. This is the mirror image. You own something, you just never chose to. Now, maybe this works. Maybe orbital data centers become the future, and this looks like genius in 10 years. That's genuinely possible. SpaceX has proven doubters wrong before, spectacularly. But look at how it happened. Merge the AI, reasonable. Chase the biggest market on the slide, reasonable. Go public at the top, reasonable. Borrow to build, reasonable. Every single step made sense on its own. And one reasonable step at a time. A rocket company became a data center that happens to launch rockets. Nobody decided it. It just drifted, and the people cheering the launches never read the paperwork that said so. That's the pattern, and it's bigger than SpaceX. The most dangerous moment for any company isn't when it's failing. It's when it's so exciting that nobody bothers to read the fine print. That's what I do here. I read the fine print, a free, no-pitch teardown of one company a week, while the crack is still just a crack. Links in the description. One question before you go, and I read every answer. If a rocket company files as a data center, what did the investors actually buy? Put it in the comments. And if you want to see how the other side of this plays out, a company that took your ownership instead of your money, that autopsy is on the right. This is Crater. See you at the next collapse.